Hi, Dave here with the dads, Harris and Dave. Well, we are day 4 now before Thanksgiving, and as we promised, we will be making our spiced nuts. The holiday doesn't seem quite complete without a little bit of spiced nuts around the room. It's also a special evening. I'm wearing this little chef's jacket given to me by one of our dear friends, Leslie. We were actually helping her with a catering event for her rabbi's bat mitzvah. At any rate, it's a special holiday for her because she has lost her brother suddenly this weekend, so our heart goes out to Leslie. Also, tonight I'm donning my Mario Batali kitchen Crocs. I really wanted to point these out, given to me by our daughter, Leah. They are fantastic. I absolutely recommend them in the kitchen because if during the holidays you're busy running outside, doing some things out either on the grill, out to the outside refrigerator, coming into the kitchen, your feet will not slip on the floor, so that's really important. Okay, tonight, spiced nuts. I've got my skillet heating on a medium-high heat. I have already prepared all of our spices. We'll talk about that. But most importantly, we have 4 cups of mixed nuts. That is going to go into our skillet. And what we're really doing here is we're looking to give the nuts a nice little bit of a toast. It should take about 3 to 4 minutes. We're just going to let them kind of go, almost like putting popcorn on your skillet. You won't hear them pop, I hope anyway. But we're just going to give them a little bit of a swish until they will, again, the natural oils from the nut themselves will come out. They'll get hot. And the reason we're doing this is we're going to be adding to this some butter. As you can see, I already have 4 tablespoons of butter. I have already separated out our spices. We have a teaspoon of kosher salt. We have a half a teaspoon each of ground cinnamon, cumin, and cayenne pepper. Now, I go a titch heavy on the cayenne pepper because I think it just kind of jazzes the whole holiday up. Then we have our sugar, which is brown sugar. And goodness, I forgot how much brown sugar that is. That is actually 6 tablespoons of brown sugar we're using. The recipe will also be on the website, so don't worry about any of that. All right, we're just getting these nuts going. As I said, we want a good 4 minutes on these nuts to get them good and toasted. See what's happening in here. You want them to all be good and hot because what we're actually going to be doing is creating a sauce with the sugar, the butter, and all your spices, and then we're actually going to add in a tablespoon of water as all that gets going, and that's going to just help it all come together. And then once that all does, which will happen quickly, then we're going to pour that out onto our baking sheet I have prepared over here. And as the sugar coating on it begins to harden up, we'll then use a fork, separate it, and then put it in an airtight container once it's fully cooled. All right, it's been just about 4 minutes. We're almost there. So as that happens, I'm going to prepare my butter to drop into here. And actually, let's see if I should have had a knife here and been prepared. Let me see. I'm just breaking it up so it's kind of evenly going around the pan. I think that's kind of helps you in the process because you don't want it all to be one big lump right in the center. All right. Once we get the butter going, good and melted into here, then we're going to add our other ingredients to it. Did you hear it beginning to sizzle? Alright, it's all starting to happen. If you were here, you'd be smelling it too. The nuts as they were toasting, and now the butter's going with it. I'm going to turn that heat down just a little bit because we don't want them to burn. This sauce is going to be on here for a little bit and thicken. So I've reduced my heat to about a medium. Okay. Alright, this is, I think, pretty fully incorporated. My butter is fully across all of my nuts. A little bit more butter to melt. I just really want to make certain I'm doing that so as we begin to add our spices, it all incorporates nicely. And if you like, you can actually mix your spices in a head in one dish so that all goes together incorporated. That was the cinnamon, the cumin. The cumin is really nice because that adds that nice, warm, earthy taste to it. The cayenne pepper. That going. I like to incorporate that, and then I'm going to add the sugar once I have the spices all mixed in. see that? And again, I've reduced my heat down more to a medium heat. On my dial, that's about a 5, so it's a scale of 1 to 10. You can actually look down to the bottom of the pan, you'll see actually that nice mixture. And that's even before the sugar has gone in. Alright, I'm now going to add my sugar. Again, I like to use the dark brown sugar. Get that incorporated, and then I'm going to add the salt. And then our last ingredient will be that tablespoon of water. There we go, it's coming up. It's going to make a nice sauce that will begin to thicken up. That's going to take about 5 minutes for the sauce to really thicken. But you just have to have patience. Don't use too high of a heat because you can be disappointed and have the nuts burn on you. I have had that happen to me in the past. Now, you know, when I made this before, we were actually having a Valentine's party. We had a few different guests coming that were vegans. Now, you would think spiced nuts, that would be a vegan dish. Well, that's really not the case because I've used butter in this dish. There is an equal component called Earth Balance, which is a vegan substitute for butter. I've used that when I made these before, and it came out perfect. You couldn't even tell the difference. So, if you have vegan friends, or you yourself would prefer not to use butter, that is a perfect substitute for you. Okay, now I'm ready to add my salt into this. Again, this is 1 tablespoon of salt. Or a teaspoon, I'm sorry. I think that's really enough. I don't want to... Somehow just my gut is telling me that's the right amount. Alright. This is just going to slowly continue to cook. As I say, about 5 minutes for this to really thicken up and then come together. You know, the holidays are a really fun time of the year for us. Putting together these little dishes that, to me, just add that special little touch to the holiday. Getting out all your things, your Thanksgiving hand towels. I know everybody thinks that's just a little over the top, but you know, those are the little things we enjoy, and when the kids come, I think to me it makes everybody feel a little extra special. Alright, this is coming along nicely. Ooh, we forgot our water. That's right. I think it's time to add that tablespoon of water. Let me get my measuring spoon here. And we do have a reverse osmosis water filter here, so it's as good as drinking water, which I feel is important. And that's going to help bring it all together. You hear that sizzle as it came in? That is going to make this so lovely. I know you would think water and nuts, but actually, believe it or not, with the sugar and all the other spices, it comes together nicely. We've got a little bit of time. All right, we are going to let this sit for a little bit. I will continue to keep stirring it, though, so it's not just sitting and burning down to the bottom. Keep it going. That's a really important thing. And we'll be back shortly. The nuts have continued to cook. You can see I'm getting my sauce is starting to thicken. If you were to come in, you'll see it's still just a little bit wet at the bottom. But what's really important through this process is to keep your nuts turning, keeping them coated through the entire process. You'll notice, actually see as I pull up my spatula, I keep a fork here, I'll scrape that down because that's kind of my clue also, how thick my sugar mixture is getting for me. Okay, we're getting very close, almost ready for them to come off. They are looking very nice. I can tell, if you can actually get close to this, you'll start to see how the glaze is starting to stick to the nuts themselves. That's really the indication that you're almost there. Because that's what you want. It's going to be the bits of the sugar and the butter and the spice that are going to adhere to the toasted nut. And as it cools, that'll actually harden onto the nut itself. I think I have about 30 seconds left, and we are there. And we're going to pour it out onto our baking sheet. Alright, here we go. Let's see, I'm going to use my other hand. I am left-handed, so sorry that would have blocked the camera's angle. And I'm going to pull it out onto my baking sheet that I had prepared with the aluminum foil. And I use the aluminum foil because as this hardens up, it'd be very hard to get off of your baking sheet itself. I am all about ease in the kitchen. All right. Now I'm just going to set that back over here off the hot burner. Get that back in. Scrape that off because I do like all the little goodies in it. Using our fancy little spoon rest, I think if you'll look at our blog, we had a post actually on the blog. That is a great little spoon rest. And for those, I tell you, I don't know if we put it in our write-up. We find that putting it backwards like this makes it a quick, easy in and out. When we first got it, we had it this way, and it was like very awkward. Putting it like this, I think you're going to find you get that a lot better. All right, you can see I have separated the nuts pretty well on my sheet. Breaking them apart again so they're not too stuck together. Letting some air circulate between them. And, oop, there goes one to the floor. I'll grab that quick before the dog gets it. All right, we'll be back in about 10 minutes, and we'll show you how they came out. But they're looking great. Take care. All right, and we're back. The nuts have been cooling. Actually, about 10 minutes has passed, just as I'd said. I had found as they were cooling, I had just a little bit more of the butter that I cared to that didn't really cook down in the pan, so I used a paper towel. I just kind of blotted a little bit. And now you can see as I did that, as I just kept moving and making certain that there was no just liquid butter sitting there. And look how nicely they've dried up. Actually, if you were to come in close, you'll see I don't really have any excess butter because I did use a little paper towel to make certain I cleaned up anything that was there. And as it hardened, we're all set. Now, it's great. We'll put it into our holiday tin and we'll be all set for when the guests arrive. So we will just move into here. And I think this is really the key to it, is putting it into a nice airtight container. But before we get all the way there, why not? Let's taste one, huh? You hear that crunch? Has that nice sugar, spice, and feel the heat from the cayenne pepper. It's going to be great, especially with maybe a special cocktail we'll make for the holiday. All right, well listen again. This is just a little tip of some things that make your home a little extra special for the holiday. We hope you enjoy it and have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Stay with us through the countdown. The Dads, Harris and Dave, our website, harrisandave.com. Thanks.